Hello, my name is Josie and I work at Natural Baby Shower. I am Brand Partnerships Manager, but I'm currently off on maternity leave as I've just given birth to two girls, identical twins, Rosie and Mabel. I also have a little one called Henry who's 2 years old, and I'm sure you'll see him later on in this video. So when I found out I was having twins, and actually having spoken to other twin mums, I think everyone's reaction seems to be similar, and I think initially it's shock. The excitement and happiness and everything obviously comes later, but I think initially it is just shock. I remember when the sonographer told me that there was 2 babies in there, 1,000,001 thoughts go through your mind. You sort of think, wow, 2 babies, how am I going to grow 2 babies? That's 2 babies to look after. You know, are they going to fit in my house? Do I have a big enough car? Will the car seats fit? Do I need to get a new pushchair? There's 2 babies to feed. There's 2 lots of nursery fees. All these kind of practicalities go through your mind. And really that's kind of like a split-second reaction, but once that's all kind of digested, then you realise how special it is to be told you're having twins. And in my case, identical twins. I think initially I kind of went into research mode and I looked for other twin mums or families that I could maybe chat to, and that could be anywhere from Facebook groups, online communities and things like that. Instagram has a great community, lots of twin mums that I followed and began talking to, and that was really good to share different experiences on. I had loads of questions in my mind about how do you feed 2 babies at the same time? Do they sleep together? What are twin routines like? All things that are new to any twin mum. I'm a second-time mum, but twins is obviously new to me, so talking to other mums was really important. I also found local twin groups was really helpful. I actually haven't been along to one yet, but I know there's one locally that runs every Monday, so I think it's important to just have other mums to go and chat to, and they can offer support and advice. If their twins are going through the same stage as you, it's nice to kind of share experiences and have reassurance that everything's normal, or share ideas of what you can do to make things a little easier, or to help settle them, or feeding tips. So something else that I was keen to think about early on in my pregnancy was, of course, my growing bump. Knowing that I was pregnant with twins, I knew that I was going to get bigger, quicker. And I think it was important for me to stay comfortable and obviously get a good night's sleep before all of that goes out of the window. So preparing with products such as a good pregnancy pillow or a support belt was a lifesaver, really. I think for me, I felt a little bit more uncomfortable earlier on, but as soon as I did get support from a good pregnancy pillow and support belt, that really did help, and I stayed quite comfortable throughout my entire pregnancy. So I think it's important to kind of just be prepared for those things. Twin pregnancy and also second pregnancy, your bump does tend to kind of show quicker. So things like pelvic girdle pain might be an issue for some people, but I think if you kind of get the support early, you nip it in the bud, and it just makes you a little bit more comfortable throughout your journey. Or you might be really lucky and not have any issues. But for me, it was just kind of planning ahead and making sure if I did have any kind of discomfort, I could get prepared with my pregnancy pillow. I use the BB Hug Me pregnancy pillow, which is a really popular choice. And even now, kind of post for C-section recovery, it was ideal to have a bit more support as well. And actually talking about BB Hug Me, another product that was invaluable for me was the feeding pillow. So although I didn't breastfeed, I bottle fed my girls. Having the support of the feeding pillow sort of around the C-section scar was really useful. So I'm still using that now to get the girls into a nice position. If I'm feeding them one at a time, that's been really useful for me as well, just to kind of stay comfortable. So thinking about packing my hospital bag was a little bit different this time with twins compared to when I packed the bag with Henry, because twins often arrive earlier, especially identical twins. And I knew my girls were going to be delivered earlier anyway. We went for an elective cesarean, which was planned in for 36 weeks. However, I was under consultant-led care, and the consultant told me that twins are likely to arrive any time from kind of 28 weeks. And lots of twins have happened to arrive early in that as well. So we were told to be packed and ready, prepared to kind of grab our bag and run into hospital from 28 weeks. With regards to what I packed in my hospital bag, of course, having 2 babies did mean to double up on some items. So the essentials, I guess, when babies are delivered, they need their first little outfit to wear to keep them warm. And the kind of general rule with all newborn babies is that they need 1 extra layer than us. So generally speaking, this kind of time of year, they would have a vest, a sleep suit or a baby grow, and a little hat just to make sure they're warm and snug. I took a couple of swaddles with me to make sure that they were cosy. Swaddles kind of mimic the feeling of being snug and warm in the womb, and I did find that helped them settle a lot quicker. So how did we prepare Henry for the arrival of his new baby sisters? We just made sure that we kind of involved Henry throughout our pregnancy, and we spoke about my bump and who was inside. We talked about having 2 baby sisters and how lucky he was to be having 2. One of his other friends have just had 1 baby brother or sister. How many baby sisters do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah.
I think we got 2. So we also made sure Henry was involved in decorating the nursery. So he saw the 2 cots coming in, he saw the room change from our spare bedroom into the nursery. And we spoke about who's going to sleep in this bed. And he would say, Rosie and Mabel, or my baby sister. So he kind of knew what was happening and what was coming. So he was well prepared when they arrived. So with regards to sleep, initially we bought 2 Moses baskets, 2 separate Moses baskets. We opted for the Little Green Sheep Moses baskets, and at the moment they are small enough actually to fit in 1 basket together, and we found that they comfort each other. So actually being together, they settle a lot quicker. They like to snuggle up. I think with a twin bond, they've obviously been so used to being together in the womb that we felt keeping them together was nicer for them. They do definitely get comfort from each other. So we kept them together while they still fit. And as I said, we did buy 2, so when they do outgrow being together, we can put them separately. But for overnight, we are going to use a full-size crib so that they can sleep together. It's called co-bedding. And again, that was a question that I didn't really know much about before. I researched and kind of spoke to other twin mums about whether they prefer to be together or not. I think a little bit is down to the individual twins. Some, as I say, may comfort each other, but you might find that some twins disturb each other if one twin's asleep and one is a little bit unsettled and they're crying or they're kicking around. They might disturb each other, but for me, my girls, they settle really nicely together. They don't seem to wake up if the other is crying. So it works for us in that sense. But another thing that we've used is the Love to Dream swaddle up bag, which is a zip up swaddle. So again, just thinking with twins, everything is so busy. You have 2 babies and kind of twice the amount to be getting on with. So anything that makes life a bit easier and quicker really is a twin essential. So we love the Love to Dream swaddle up bags. You can just kind of zip baby in. They are in the arms up position, which again, we found that our girls, when they were totally relaxed, they used to fall asleep with their arms up in the air. So these swaddle bags kind of mimic that position, but just keep them feeling a bit more snug, which just kind of settles them a little bit quicker. And we found using those swaddle bags, they will sleep for kind of a really long period of time, which is, again, with a 2-year-old in tow, these sleep periods are great. Knowing that they feel snug and content is really important for us. So with regards to night feeds, as I mentioned earlier, we try to keep our girls on the same feeding schedule. So at the moment, What works for us is that they're feeding every 4 hours. We did try every 3 hours, but we found that they just kind of weren't hungry enough. They weren't stirring after 3 hours. So now we let them sleep for 4 hours. We wake them for a feed together. So we'll do a nappy change. And then my husband and I will both feed. We'll take a baby each and feed together. Just at night time, we've kind of found it's easier for us both to be awake in the daytime. I'll quite often feed the girls myself, and as I say, use the feeding pillow or the Baby Bjorn bouncers, and I'll hold the bottles for them. But at night time, to keep them just a little bit more settled and snug and cosy, we tend to wake up and do the feeds together. We keep it very quiet, and the lights dimmed for night feeds, so in an attempt to kind of get the girls to recognise the difference between day and night. For a typical day, I guess we would start the day off at 6 a.m. with a feed. We would feed both girls at the same time, my husband and I. And then my son Henry tends to wake up at around 7 o'clock. So by that time, the girls are fed. We can then kind of put a little bit more attention onto Henry. But in the early days, actually, what we're going through now, with a toddler in tow, life is busy. So we have clubs to get to. He has nursery on set days. So the girls do have to slot into routine a little bit there. But to make sure I have that time with the girls to kind of just bond and just slow down a little bit, I think is important. We've got into a routine where my husband will come downstairs with Henry in the morning. He'll do breakfast. And then I spend an hour or so, even if it's half an hour, 10 minutes, whatever you can manage to slot in, to just try and have that one-on-one time with your twins. We might stay in bed for a little bit longer and have skin to skin time, and just kind of make sure that they have that time with mum when I'm not chasing after a 2-year-old as well. So that works really nicely for us at the moment. And then once we've had that time, I'll come downstairs and kind of get back into the day as normal. And then keep up with their feeding routine every 4 hours. I think when the girls are a little bit bigger, I'll try to get into a schedule of feed, play, sleep. I think it's important to kind of just make time to do something that stimulates them a little bit. Newborn babies don't need huge amounts of stimulation, but I think getting out and just kind of being in the fresh air, going for a little walk is really good for the babies, but also just to kind of refresh your mind. You feel like you've achieved something if you get outdoors. Just have a little walk, go to the park, or things like bath time is very sensory for babies as well. So an activity followed by baby massage or something like that for 5 minutes is really nice to feel like you've still had that one-on-one time with your twins amongst all of the chaos that toddler life brings as well. So in terms of newborn twin essentials, the first one I would say is obviously the pushchair. So we've gone for the Bugaboo Donkey 5, which has been a lifesaver whilst getting out and about. And we chose the Bugaboo Donkey for lots of different reasons. One being the different configurations that you can have on the pushchair itself. So obviously with twins, we have the 2 bassinets, but also Bugaboo do a fantastic buggy board, which Henry loves. So with a 2-year-old in tow, it was important for us to have somewhere for him to sit when his little legs get tired. You can also attach your car seats onto the Bugaboo Donkey using the car seat adapter. So we opted for the Cybex Cloud Z car seats, which using the Bugaboo car seat adapters, you can slot straight onto the chassis. So again, with twins, anything that makes life that little bit quicker or easier is a really important product to have. So instead of maybe having to transfer the girls from their car seats into the bassinet, to be able to pick them up, slot them onto the chassis, but lie them flat so they're in a nice position was important. And then finally, one of the products that we did buy 2 of was the Baby Bjorn bouncers. These have come in handy for us, particularly when it comes to feeding. Once my husband went back to work after paternity leave, I needed to find ways that I could feed the girls at the same time. So being able to have them in slightly upright positions on the bouncers mean I could have them in front of me, and then I can just hold the 2 bottles and kind of trying to keep them on the same feeding schedule and get them fed together at the same time. Recovering after a C-section, I think it's really important that you take it easy. Rest up as much as you can. Sometimes easier said than done if, like me, you have a toddler, but try to accept any help that you can. You'll have lots of friends and family wanting to come and visit, and they'll offer to pick up some food shopping or do some cleaning or look after the babies for you. And just say yes, accept the help, rest up as much as you can. I would say invest in a good pair of granny pants. You want big knickers so nothing rubs against your scar. You want to be as comfortable as possible. Having said rest up, I'd also encourage you to kind of keep moving. So whilst you don't want to overdo it, you don't want things to stiffen up. So they do encourage you to get up and get walking. Quite soon after surgery, even in hospital, sort of the next day, they encourage you to get up and just have a little walk around the ward. So even if you just take a stroll up and down the kitchen every hour and just keep a little bit mobile, but be conscious not to lift anything too heavy. I think as a rule, they say don't lift anything heavier than your baby. So stay a little bit active, but don't overdo it. Accept the help and try and rest up as much as you can.